we are going to unpack something absolutely fascinating. You know, we often think that finding our life's purpose means making these massive, dramatic gestures. But today, we're diving into a profound text which actually shows us how to bridge the gap between really high-level spiritual ideals and our mundane, everyday routines. It turns out, true greatness.
So here is the big question driving our whole deep dive today. What concrete steps must we take in our daily life to fulfill our grand destiny using consciousness, will, and vocation? It's something we all want, right? A greater purpose. But how do we actually carry out this spiritual development? I don't know, sitting in traffic, suffering through a boring meeting, or literally just washing the dishes? Well, the source we're analyzing today promises that the secret to fulfilling our grandiose destiny is actually hidden right inside those totally normal, everyday actions.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Here is our roadmap for today. 1. A grand destiny. 2. What is the work? 3. Consciousness, will, and vocation. 4. The transformation method. 5. Concrete everyday steps. And 6. Be the change. We're going to move from high-level, universal evolution all the way down to the nitty-gritty of how you clean your house.
Section 1. A grand destiny, illuminating the present and the future. So, right off the bat, we run into what looks like a huge paradox in the source material. We're told that we, as human beings, have this grandiose cosmic destiny, and yet we live these really small, often completely unknown human lives.
And to resolve that paradox, the text hits us with this powerful quote. This destiny does not ask us for grand external stages, but a radical transformation in the quality of our being. Notice how that immediately shifts our focus. It's not about how many followers you have or getting your face on the news. It points us directly inward. The real arena of victory is entirely about our own human quality.
Section 2. What is the work? The consequence of who we are. This brings us to defining what the Work of Cafh actually means, and this is where the text clears up some major misconceptions about what spiritual labor really is. This comparison brilliantly illustrates a total paradigm shift. Normally, we think of spiritual work as a checklist, right? Direct apostolates, external campaigns, volunteering. But the source argues something completely different. The work isn't some external job you have to go out and hunt down. It is the natural consequence, the inevitable side effect, really, of our own internal spiritual development.
Basically, everything we do out in the world is just an outward manifestation of our inner reality. Our works are the result of our lives. They perfectly express how we think, feel, and act. You don't do things to be spiritual. You do things a certain way because you are developing spiritually. That is a massive difference.
Section 3. Consciousness, will, and vocation. The internal mechanics. Okay, so if everything depends on our inner state, what tools do we actually have to work with? The text introduces 3 specific internal forces we need to develop what they call the mysticism of the heart.
The first tool is consciousness. This is the force that permanently perceives our limits and understands the exact effect we provoke on the whole of existence. It's that realization that we aren't isolated. It's understanding that the entire universe shifts slightly the second we act. It shows us our limits, sure, but it also shows us our very real impact on the fabric of reality.
But, just realizing things isn't enough. That's why we need will. Will is the power that makes desires a reality and pushes us to take that concrete step in the present. It's the engine. It's what stops us from getting stuck on the couch, just passively observing all our possibilities. Will forces us to get up and actually take that transformative step right here, right now.
And then there's the third tool, which I actually find super comforting, vocation. According to the text, this isn't some grand mystical calling echoing from the sky. It's a humble inner force that rescues us from discouragement. It's that quiet internal guide that helps us recognize where we are and gets us back to work on those tough days when our will falters and we feel way too small to achieve anything.
Section 4. The transformation method, transcending to include. Now that we have our 3 tools, how do we actively apply them? Well, the text lays out a continuous method for this spiritual work.
This method relies on 2 fascinating pillars working together. On the left, the Asceticism of Renunciation, transcending our acquired personality and renouncing that fixed, stubborn image we have of ourselves. And on the right, the mysticism of the heart, expanding our notion of being into a highly empathetic, inclusive consciousness, where the well-being of others is just as real as our own. We basically have to renounce the small me to embrace a massive us.
So the crucial takeaway here is summed up perfectly in this quote. When individual will is applied to what consciousness dictates, consciousness is transformed. It expands. Real transformation requires serious conscious effort. It doesn't just happen by accident. It happens when your will and your consciousness walk hand in hand, when you use your drive to do exactly what your deeper understanding is asking of you.
Section 5. Concrete everyday steps. Carrying out the work. Okay, this is the climax of our whole analysis. All of this sounds beautiful in theory, but how does it actually land in reality? Let's ground this lofty mysticism into the exact daily actions we asked about at the beginning.
Now, what's really interesting about this breakdown is how it maps these deep spiritual concepts directly onto our most mundane daily frustrations. We talk about inner liberation, and the action is simply flowing with frustrated plans. Expressing consciousness, that translates to cleaning the house or writing a report with genuine purpose. The absolute highest spiritual work is literally happening right now, in your living room or at your office desk.
Let's run through these energetically because this is absolutely key. If you constantly complain, use your will to swap that complaint for an attitude of offering. If you're judging a coworker, use empathy to feel what they feel and cross that bridge into being an all. When your plans get ruined, don't resist. Flowing keeps you from getting stuck in old ideas. Realize that taking care of someone or just sweeping the floor is a direct expression of your consciousness, not just an annoying chore. And finally, use silence. Staying quiet lets you respond from your true essence instead of just firing off a messy emotional reaction.
Section 6. Be the change. Embracing responsibility. And here we are at our final section. We've seen that the sacred terrain isn't some faraway temple. It is your daily life. And that invites us to embrace our reality in a totally new way.
The text assures us that by fully assuming responsibility for our lives, we actually become a source of comfort and hope, turning small acts of self-forgetfulness into our grand destiny. And the crazy part? By taking your obsessive focus off of yourself and looking at the bigger picture, your personal load actually gets lighter, not heavier.
I just love how the author wraps this up. If I want something to change, I am the change. If I want something new to grow, I cultivate it in myself. Because as the source points out, your personal experience is directly woven into the massive fabric of the world. You aren't just watching from the sidelines. You are the active thread weaving reality together. To wrap up our analysis, I want to leave you with a fundamental question. Based on everything we just covered, what small, concrete act of self-forgetfulness will you cultivate today to fulfill your grand destiny? Maybe it's just biting your tongue before giving a sharp answer. Or maybe it's cleaning up your workspace with genuine care and love. Whatever it is, your grand destiny is waiting right there in that tiny detail.